French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Like, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Shiavone yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Shibata yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asante. Back here once again. I mean, last time I checked, it was
You never know. It could be Danny.
True. Since we haven't seen his face in God knows how long. But as I was saying, we are back here once again to review another episode of AEW Dynamite. Real quick, before we get the show underway, I wanted to apologize that we weren't on Sunday following Dynasty. James and Danny ended up going to the show, and hopefully you guys saw what we were able to get from there, both here on YouTube and on our social media stuff. So hopefully we gave you guys some decent content. But go ahead, James.
Let me just say, if you guys have that much of a problem with what Swerve said, get over it. Get over it. It's two grown men who are beefing. It's not that big a deal. Move on. And as it pertains to AEW, excellent pay-per-view, guys. Incredible pay-per-view. One of the most fun shows I've been to in a long, long time. Main event is what it was. Nobody's happy with the story. Or no, let me rephrase. Nobody's happy with the outcome. But I am into the story. I am into where the story is going. Did I want Swerve to be champion? Absolutely. Am I ready to be done with the Death Riders? Yes. But if that story is continuing, we found a great way to keep it going.
Yeah, I'm way less done now than I was going in on Sunday. So
I could say, please go ahead.
I was gonna say between everything that's happening with the Bucks, and now what we'll get into tonight, and the Ops getting involved in the main event, and Hangman, like there is so much good stuff that came out of that main event. I don't understand why people are hating on it so much outside of the fact that Moxley won, but.
I could say being there, I was pretty deflated by the outcome. But I'm supposed to be. The bad guy won.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point. So just stick it out, guys. Darby or not, whatever. We're getting a good story in the meantime.
Very good. And speaking of which, let's just jump right into the show, which started with a backstage promo from the Death Riders. It was actually, it looked pre-recorded, but either way, Moxley was questioning how the single greatest roster of assembled talent in arguably history cannot defeat him. And he says it's because they come with their talent, but they don't truly want it. They are all really disorganized. And if they really wanted it, they'd probably come with a better plan. As for the Bucks returning, he says that there are they are two power players in a gilded age of wrestling, but that he hasn't recognized who they truly are in a long time. He says that they've stepped onto a board where they don't even know the game and warns them that they better think long and hard before making their next move. That immediately leads us into our first match of the evening, which saw Jon Moxley face off against Kazuchika Shibata. I thought this was going to be a banger. It was only about 8 minutes. It wasn't bad, but it went okay. And what it led into was far better. So this ended with Shibata having a rear choke on Moxley, and Mox, who pretty much was stuck, decided the best way out of it was to rake Shibata's eyes, and then he turned that into a rear naked of his own, getting Shibata to the mat and choking him using both the body scissors and Shibata's eyes, continuing to use Shibata's eyes to his advantage, and then he was able to choke Shibata out for the win. James, did you have anything on this match before we moved on? It was, like I said, it wasn't that long. And I wanted it to be better, but...
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. It was quick. It was a quick match. But I think it was a highlight or a showcase for sometimes you could have good, quick matches. There were some memorable moments there with Mox hitting those repeated big boots to Shibata. And Shibata not no-selling them, but withstanding them. I like that a lot. I it reminds me of, like, I loved Mox's time in New Japan. Like, his initial, like, when he first hit the free market after his WWE run, when he went to New Japan and he was doing AEW, and he was just having, like, kind of, like, really fun, athletic matches over there. I missed that, and this was a little bit of a reminder of that. So, yeah, this could have gone a little bit longer. Frankly, I really think they got some good stuff in the meantime. And it's fun to see. It's fun to have a reminder that Mox can wrestle and not just be the deathmatch guy.
Very true, and I thought we saw a lot of that here tonight, even though it was short. Because I agree with you. I think it's more just a me thing where I wanted to see these two guys go longer because I like these two guys a lot. And when they announced this, I was like, "This is gonna be a banger," and then it was over so quickly. I was like, "Ah!" But it was still really good, as you said, for an 8-minute match. And as I mentioned, what it led into turned out to be even cooler, I guess. Quickly want to say hi to You Know It. James apparently is always too late to say sorry. Unacceptable.
We'll talk about that later in the show.
Yep. Anyway, after Moxley's match, the music of Nicholas and Matthew Jackson, the Young Bucks, hit, and they came down to the ring, and Moxley stuck around for like a second. He was gonna leave, and he was like, "Hang on," and he stayed. And the Bucks came down and got into the ring. And Marina actually stepped to them, and Mox is like, "Nah, they're not worth it." And he talked some shit to the Bucks, which unfortunately the mics didn't pick up, and he headed out through the crowd. Nicholas then got a mic, and after telling us all to shut the F up, he addresses what they did to Swerve on Sunday, saying that there were 2 reasons they did it. The first reason being that they did it for their good friend Hangman Adam Page, saying that they did what he wanted to do in keeping Swerve from becoming the AEW World Champion, as they do not forget their friends.
Keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay, hopefully everything's all right over there. The other thing was that, as told by Matthew, who grabbed the mic, was that they did it as a peace offering to the Death Riders. The Bucks, while they were sitting at home, realized that they have much more in common with the Death Riders than they thought, as they both want to see the locker room step up, and they both want to change the world, something the Bucks have obviously been saying since AEW started 5 years ago. Jeez. Anyway, they considered what they did to Swerve an elevator pitch to the Death Riders, pitching the AEW World Champion and the founding fathers of AEW, the EVPs, coming together to work together and change the company and the world. So Matthew asks Moxley and the Death Riders to come on out and talk some business. However, instead of Moxley coming back, the music of Kenny Omega hits, and he comes out to the ramp. Kenny questions them, saying that they did all of this for their friends when they conveniently left him out, and says that the last time he saw them, they were pushing him off a stretcher at the height of his diverticulitis. Now, Kenny says the difference between him and them is that when Kenny did eventually make his return to AEW, he came to help not only cement his legacy, but the legacy of AEW itself and restore the feeling. He didn't come back for revenge. Kenny then tells this kind of weird story, but it worked, about a friend from high school that he used to play video games with, and he had 2 little Shih Tzus, and the dog was always used to crap in the house. I think he said Dookie in the house. All the time as we welcome James back in. Of course, right about the time we're talking about dogs. And Kenny would hang out in this guy's house until eventually he had enough of them shitting, and he asked if they can play video games at his place. And he says that this is a very extended and slightly convoluted metaphor for what it was like having the Bucks in charge of AEW when he wasn't around. Kenny then reveals what the Bucks were shredding with those documents all those months ago, and apparently it was just documents exposing their lavish spending on things like private jets and chairs facing their beds, which he then left the longest pause for. You're on mute, by the way, James, but yeah.
Chairs facing beds in the master bedroom and OnlyFans accounts.
Oh, is that the third thing he said?
Yeah. The massive pause wasn't because he was waiting. The crowd reacted to the cuck chair.
Yeah, because he popped Excalibur.
I never thought we would be talking it when we started this podcast years ago now at this point. I never thought we'd be talking about cuck chairs on a Wednesday night. What a world.
Especially considering it's Kenny saying it to the Bucks of all people, right?
I mean, hey, who would know them better?
This is true.
They're good Catholic boys. They probably had to wait for marriage, you know?
I'm not sure. I know they're good Christian boys. I'm not sure they're Catholic.
Christian boys. Good Christian boys, yeah.
Anyway, all of that lavish spending doesn't matter to Kenny, though. What matters is that it wasn't the Death Riders, but them, the Bucks, that almost killed the company he almost gave his life for. And then after throwing some more insults at them, I think he says Nick looks all of the 98 pounds he was when he left. And
Burn!
Matt needs to lay off the spray tan because he's as red as Nick's lapels. Kenny says, I don't really want to talk anymore. I'm just going to get in the ring and we're going to fight. But when he starts to get into the ring, the coin drops and, oh my God, I almost said Shibata. Okada comes out and he comes out to back up the Bucks. As he is doing so, and Kenny kind of gets in a bit of a Mexican standoff, Swerve music then hits. And as the Bucks and Okada look for him on the ramp, he comes in from behind with a chair, and the new Elite just get the hell out of Dodge, sliding out of the ring and going up the ramp. Kenny and Swerve then kind of take a look at each other, and Kenny offers a fist bump, and Swerve takes it, and then Kenny leaves the ring and gives it to Swerve. Swerve then grabs the mic, and he declares it's buck hunting season, and he is coming out there with a loaded shotgun since the EVPs couldn't leave well enough alone. However, before he can really get into anything else, his opponent in his match of the evening, Pac, comes out and he gets blindsided, and then the ref comes in to restore order as we head into commercial. So that was obviously a lot happened in there. There was a lot of moving parts. It was like four different, almost four different programs getting involved with each other in there. But A, hell of a web to weave in this segment, and B, I mean, talk about just giving us what we want right off the bat. Hey, the Bucks are back. Wonder what Kenny's going to do. First day we're back. Hello, Maria. First day we're back. Kenny confronts the Bucks. Him and Swerve seem to be cool. And Okada is confronting Kenny again. And Swerve's still fighting with the Death Riders. And the Bucks want to be friends with them. And just, wow. This was really, really good.
I was talking about it earlier in our group chat that sometimes Dynamites after the pay-per-view have an unfortunate tendency to not immediately follow up on the hot thing.
Yep.
Either those wrestlers aren't there that week and they have them come back the next week to build the suspense, or if they are there, they don't necessarily start the show. They're sort of at the end of the show. This was perfect. There is no more heat in AEW right now than what's going on with the Death Riders and by extension, the Young Bucks. So to start the show this way was perfect. And I'm a sucker for seeing storylines not just flow into one another, but also to see them interweave. We saw at the pay-per-view, Kenny was confronted by Okada. Kenny, of course, has unfinished business with the Elite. So dealing with the Bucks as they're talking their doo-doo caca made total sense. The Bucks wanting to clear the air with the Death Riders makes a lot of sense. Whether or not you're a fan of the story, at least they're making it clear what they're doing. At least they're painting a very clear picture. There's no ambiguity. There's no confusion. It's a matter of, we were the big bad guys. You're the big bad guys now. Let's be the big bad guys together. And I think that's a very interesting way to take things. You know it. We are actually actively working on creating a forum. We're probably going to do a Discord at some point or another where you guys will be able to talk with us throughout the day and talk with each other. I am very old. Discord is very hard for me to figure out. But
I just don't like it.
I'm not crazy about Discord either, but before we bury the thing that we're going to eventually do,
yeah.
We want to be interactive with you guys because shockingly, we do talk about wrestling pretty much all day.
It is also pretty solid for this type of thing we're going to do. But yeah, that's a little behind the scenes there.
So I really appreciated this. To Maria's point, saying that the Bucks storyline makes no sense and that they needed to explain the shredding of the documents when they left AEW, Kenny did that. Kenny actually explained it. It was tongue-in-cheek, but I think it was necessary because I don't think they realized that they created such a big question with that document scene when they left AEW for these last few months. I don't think they realized how much people were talking about what that was and what that meant. So Kenny just saying, hey, they were deleting receipts for their horrible spending as EVPs. Is it worth it? No, but we got past it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if they want to, they could also do something else and just be like, Kenny was making a joke. He didn't really know what was in there.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. This guy, it kind of, and we're guilty of it. It did get a little blown out of proportion to the point where I think whatever the answer was going to be probably wouldn't have been good enough. Like this, it almost kind of became like the favor that Punk owed.
Great comparison.
Way longer because the Bucks were out for so long. So
we've talked about it. The timeline got really messy because of Kenny being sick and needing the time to come back, and they just, when they were able to, they finally capitalized on it. So I'm okay with it. But yes, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed seeing two of the most over acts in AEW. We can't deny it. Kenny is getting monstrous reactions. Every time he comes out, he is getting the guy reactions. Swerve is getting the guy reactions. So to see these two guys in the ring together on the same side, going against the big bads of Kazuchika Okada and the Young Bucks, the Elite, it's pretty awesome. So I love them addressing Hangman because it's going to lead to Hangman interacting with them at some point. And I see a lot of people expecting we're going to be getting either a Stadium Stampede or a Blood and Guts soon. And I think the timing, we're getting there. Hangman being on the same team as Kenny Omega and Swerve Strickland. My nips and bits are getting all.
I guess, I'm just trying to think about like Stadium Stampede, Blood and Guts, and I'm just trying to maybe parse out teams early because I guess, you have the Bucks, you have Okada, I mean, maybe members of the Death Riders.
It feels like that's what they're building towards.
Yeah, because then you have Kenny, Hangman, Swerve, and the Ops? What are you going to go 6-on-6 here with the...
Well, I mean, the numbers are going to be a little skewed after Swerve Pack. We got to see. We don't know.
Yeah,
yet.
Which we'll talk about in a second. Because, I mean, you could go 6-on-6, 3 members of the Death Riders, the 3 members of the Elite, and the Ops, plus Kenny, Hangman, and Swerve.
Yeah. You
could run that if you wanted to.
It's very doable.
But I would do it for Stadium Stampede. I wouldn't do it for Blood and Guts because that's traditionally 5-on-5, and I think it'd be weird if it was 6-on-6.
If the circumstances lead to it, I'm not going to say, oh, man, this is a 5-on-5 match. It's weird that it's 6-on-6. Like, I'm going to still enjoy it,
Yeah, I think it'd just be too long.
Yeah.
It's already really long as it is.
For what, Blood and Guts?
Yeah, Blood and Guts.
Yeah. I think it would work better as a Stadium Stampede.
Yep.
But beyond all that, I enjoyed this. It was cool seeing Kenny. It was cool seeing Swerve make the save. We are just inching closer and closer and closer to Kenny versus Okada. And I'm so here for it. I'm so ready for it. And I'm interested to see how Mox is going to react to the Bucks because the show started like the promo in the beginning was Mox talking to the Bucks, addressing the fact that he doesn't know what they're trying to pull, but he sees them. He recognizes they're not the same Bucks that he knew when he first joined the company, and they better know what they're doing if they're trying to get involved in this big game. So it's not so hunky-dory yet. We don't know. but there are a lot of interesting forces at work. And maybe that's another thing to consider. Maybe we're going to get a 4-on-4-on-4. The Elite versus the Death Riders versus Team AEW. Kenny, Swerve, whoever.
Yeah.
Because on the Elite side, it's only a matter of time before we get Jack Perry back.
Yep.
And with the Death Riders, I guess it's kind of dependent on how Pac is doing, but yeah, lots of interesting things to think about.
Yeah, and I'm also leaning Stampede just because I don't think Okada wants to do another blood and guts, but the man did not take he took one like weapons bump the entire time, and it was when Swerve stapled his middle finger. So that's not really his thing, which understandably so. But yeah, there are a lot of moving parts here, and so we could sit here probably all night. And is that a souvenir cup from the weekend?
No, this was from
Takeover.
I don't even know. NXT Takeover with Drew McIntyre on it.
2017 and SummerSlam.
Yeah, NXT Brooklyn. Yeah, NXT Brooklyn. Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre.
I didn't go to that one. Or was that the one I couldn't get into because of a ticket company?
No. That was a different one. This one hurt differently. Asuka versus Ember Moon, Athena. And Hideo Itami versus Aleister Black.
Man, so much back and forth there with the two companies. But yeah, as I was saying, a lot of moving parts here, and we could probably speculate wildly for another 20 minutes. But I do want to move on because, James, you mentioned a couple of times about Pac. And obviously, as I said, he was facing off against Swerve Strickland. And it was shaping up to be a pretty good match. But a few minutes after commercial, Swerve hit a buckle bomb in the corner. And it appeared there that Pac injured his leg. I think it was his right leg, if I'm not mistaken. And he was down on the floor for quite a while he was checked out by Doc Samson. Eventually, Pac was like, well, I'm at least finishing this match. Yep. So Pac, good on him. He hopped in there in an absolute massive thrust kick from Swerve. Just got cut in half, died, and then took a Swerve stomp. And the match ended. But we haven't really got any word, at least that I've seen in a while. I did see SRS tweet out about a half hour the injury happened, that it was legit. Yep. But it looks like Pac has an injured leg, James. So it does throw some of those plans we were talking about into, I don't want to say disarray, but you're going to have to alter them a little bit in the meantime.
I mean, let's hope this was just a bad stinger and he's okay and it's something he's able to work through. That said, like you were saying, like we both know, Pac is a tough SOB. For him to not be able to continue with a match, something bad had to have happened. We're obviously hoping for the best. It looked like that buckle bomb is what did it, where he just rolled his ankle or something. He landed awkwardly on his foot.
That's what I was hoping. His ankle, because all I can think about, and for multiple reasons, is when he got injured against Jericho doing the baseball slide. And because he wanted to keep going in that match too, or at least get a finish. And Jericho did the spot where he just shoved the ref until the ref DQ'd him.
Yeah, but that ref was fucking on them.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like, I believe that was Pac's ankle then, and I'm hoping it's not his ankle now, or the same ankle for that matter. So
I agree, and I'm sure we'll find out in the coming days. But
yeah, not seeing anything right now other than, like I said, SRS said it was legit. But yeah. Hopefully Pac is not too injured, and we find out more soon. But we're hoping he's okay.
Yeah.
All right. After that, just to continue all of this clusterfuck, we actually really quickly had backstage promos from the teams in the $400,000 8-man tag. I only bring them up because Ricochet just dubbed his team to Ricochet, and everyone was annoyed. And then Briscoe declared the word of the day was entrepreneur and asked everyone what they do with the money. Ospreay's going to Disney World. Speedball's going to buy himself some shoes. Kevin Knight said he wants to go to Magic City. And for those of you who don't know what Magic City is, it is the famous strip club in Atlanta with the really good wings. And Briscoe says that he's going to diversify his portfolio.
Mark, in this market, don't do it. Right now, take a break.
Put it on your mattress.
Yeah, just for now.
We also got a quick promo package for the Owens Hart tournament from the women's side of things. We heard from Jamie Hayter, and we also heard from Mercedes Moné. following her match on Sunday, and she was also interrupted by Harley Cameron and Puppet Monet, so Mercedes was less than thrilled. After all that, we came back from commercial and went to Renee Paquette, who was talking about the Owen and Lisa men's side, and actually ran into Hangman as he was walking in, and she tried to ask him about facing the wild card in the Owen, and he's just like, Renee, I don't know what to tell you. It's a wild card. I don't know how to prepare for the guy. I'm busy. Excuse me, and blows her off.
I mean, he's right. What do you say?
Yeah, it's like, what do you want me to say, Renee? I got something to do. And the thing to do was burst into the locker room as he was looking for Swerve, but instead he found Prince Nana, who he screamed at, like, where the hell is Swerve? And Nana's like, I actually don't know for once. So
and I believe him.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe him.
When Heyman is screaming at you, you tell him the truth. Otherwise, he's going to fucking know. So Heyman sits Nana down, and he yells at him that he wasn't trying to help Swerve on Sunday. So if Swerve tries to interfere in him winning the Owen, he'll pick things right back up where they left off. Heyman then goes to leave, but Nana calls him back, saying he's wanted to say this for a while, and while he doesn't speak for Swerve, he does regret what happened last year. However, Heyman cuts him off before he can finish, saying Nana doesn't get that. So I really like this because you could see there's the crack in Hangman. He was like, man, do I accept this guy's apology? Like, he was just kind of along for the ride, but he refuses to give them the satisfaction of his forgiveness, which I think is fair.
I love this for so many reasons, because if you go back and watch the original Home Invasion, Nana is trying to convince Swerve not to do it.
Yeah.
He says, boss, I don't think this is a good idea. And I like that. It is remarkably consistent. And granted, everything involving these guys is very well done and is consistent and has historically been well done. But I really appreciate that detail. Beyond that detail, I enjoyed I want Hangman to be happy, and I want him to move on. He doesn't know how, and that's what makes this such a compelling story. Yeah. Everyone is trying to move on. Swerve is trying to move on. Nana is trying to move on. Everyone wants to move on. Hangman wants to, but can't yet. And I think that's such a great detail for this story. We were talking about it last week when they confronted each other and Swerve said that he deserved it. Hangman doesn't know how to not be angry anymore. And it's such a human story, and I really, really love it. And I know we're going to get a satisfying result moving forward. Just win at this point.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you made two really good points there. The first being the juxtaposition of the two home invasions that Swerve has had. First of all, it's a hell of a sentence, the two home invasions. Yeah. But if you look at the one with Darby and Nick Wayne, Nana was not only there for that, he was encouraging Swerve to beat the shit out of them, if not participating. The Hangman one, he clearly saw how wrong that was. And as you mentioned, he was saying, like, I don't know about this, boss. The second thing was Hangman not knowing how not to be angry, because I think nothing showed that better than not just this, but with the Christopher Daniels stuff.
Yeah,
where Daniels just trying to help him, and he had to be angry at somebody, and Daniels was just the guy in front of him at the time. And then it led to Daniels, obviously, his career ending, but then it also led to Hangman realizing he had misplaced his anger, and instead of dealing with it, he just changed targets, and that target ended up being MJF. So there's a really great storyline there, and that is at the crux of it. He just doesn't know how to not be angry anymore. So good shout by you.
Thank you.
All right, after this, we headed to our $400,000 8-man tag team match. It was, as I mentioned earlier, Will Ospreay, Speedball, Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight, and Mark Briscoe, and they're facing off against Ricochet, the Beast Mortos, and Crew. And much like Excalibur on Sunday, I'm probably going to say the Crew at some point. But obviously, Crew being X and Andretti and Leo Rush. This was really cool. It was a lot of fun, a lot of quick, talented guys in the ring. It ended with the Speedball and Briscoe hitting crane kicks onto Mortos, and then Ospreay hit an Oz cutter, and then Knight went up top to after tagging in to hit the, I guess it was the inverted frog splash. I didn't catch the finisher name, but it's really cool. But Mordos' team came in to break up the pin. Everyone else then brawled and left Mortos just lying in the ring. And Ospreay had the wherewithal to jump on the apron and get tagged in by Knight. And Ospreay came in and hit the hidden blade for the W and to win the $400,000. I had a lot of fun with this match. I loved right before the commercial, all the faces took everybody out with the flippy shit on the outside. And then they all put their hands in and they were celebrating. And then Ricochet tried to get them and they realized they all split apart and he landed. And it's just him and it's just an, oh, I fucked up meme with the four guys behind him. And he turned around, they just bald slapped his head again. That was really good. And honestly, between today and Sunday, I guess I haven't seen a lot of them because I think they're mostly on Collision. Crew is really good. They are quick. They are deceiving. Andretti and Rush have melded so well. I just think because their styles fit so much that they're just ping pong balling all over the place. It looks like, the lottery numbers with Yolanda Vega, and there's a bing, 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 bing.
I haven't heard that name in a minute. Wow.
Anytime I can make a Yolanda Vega.
Yolanda Vega.
I'm going, with the win 4 numbers, I'm going to make it.
Oh, man.
That is such a specific New York thing.
It really is.
But yeah, no, I'm really impressed by Crew recently. So I'm really enjoying their stuff. I hope they're on Dynamite a little more. I'm gonna have to really start watching Collision.
I keep saying the same thing.
But yeah, no, this was just a lot of fun. It was an absolute clusterfuck, and it was great.
No, I'm a fan of everybody involved. Everybody in this match, I am really into. Ospreay goes without saying. Speedball, I've been a fan for however long now, and I'm glad AEW fans are finally being exposed to him. He's having show-off weeks lately. Every week since he's debuted has been a show-off week. I know we're not talking about the pay-per-view right now. That triple threat was incredible. I was there watching live, and it felt like that match was 15 minutes just because of how fast-paced everything was going. It went over a half hour, and it didn't feel like it at all. Excellent work, and it wasn't just because of any one man in that match. All three of them. Speedball is killing it. Kevin Knight making a quick name for himself as well, this young guy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
name which I totally remembered because we met him.
Buddy. Yeah, buddy. And Mark Briscoe is Mark Briscoe. And on the heel side, the Beast Mortos, incredible talent.
He's so cool.
He's so cool, man. He's so cool. They are, in my opinion, they're doing a huge disservice by not having this guy winning more. But
Inverse Hologram was dope on Collision. That series of matches.
It really was. Crew is great. Action Andretti has really started to find himself. It was a slow start. He got thrown in the deep end very early in his career, and he was struggling to, keep his head above water. But being aligned with Top Flight, being aligned with Lio Rush has really, really benefited him.
Yeah, I'm going to throw AR Fox in there too because he runs with Top Flight.
So being involved with all of these guys, and I think being a tag team guy benefits him very, very well. Lio Rush is Lio Rush, and Ricochet. What more can we say at this point? This guy has.
Sorry, I mean to cut you off.
You're right. You're right, and it just makes me feel so sad for Samantha.
I wonder, you can kind of see his hairline. It's really not that bad. I just think
bad.
Is it as bad as I thought it was?
It's bad. He's benefited by the fact that he has a pretty skinny head, but it's not a good hairline.
I mean, he looks good bald. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend.
Here's the thing. There are guys who look amazing bald, and there are guys who look whatever bald, but we accept them because they were going bald and they were doing what needed to be done. Ricochet was going bald. He looks great bald, but he was going bald. So this is a burn for his hair failure. It's fucked up, but it's the society we live in.
It also just works for his character. He's
yeah.
like a piece of shit, smarmy heel, and
we're just ridiculing the dumbest shit.
Yeah, and honestly, it's worked quite well to his advantage. People love hating this dude now. When he came in, when he came in, everyone was just like, okay, he's gonna get his big matches off with Ospreay and whomever, and then what? And here's what, and it's been great.
Yep.
So like, it's the first character he's had probably since NXT, even if he really had one down there.
I'm gonna be honest, it's probably his first character since Prince Puma.
Yeah, or Prince Puma, yeah.
So I love this match. It's nice to just have fun matches sometimes.
Yep.
You know, and putting the money up as a prize was silly, but I didn't mind it because it felt like it made it important.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. People all the time with AEW. They're like, well, why are you doing this match? You know, and I'm like, for me personally, I'm like, because it's a banger and Tony Khan wants to see it, and so do I. But this gives a little more stakes to something, you know, that didn't really have it. So it's kind of just to shut people up, to be honest.
Yeah. And there were so many fun spots, so much high flying stuff, so much flippy dippy bullshit. That was amazing. Again, I'm upset that Mortos took the pin.
Same.
But if he's going to be in a situation where he's taking a pin, they protected him a lot. He ate a lot of moves at the end.
He ate a double crane kick, and then an Oz cutter, and then the inverted frog splash, and then a hidden blade.
Yeah, like if you're gonna put somebody down, there are weaker ways to do it. So this was good.
They put him down like he was, well, a beast,
a dead beast.
Mm.
So yeah, fun matchup.
Yeah, I really like it. I did want to throw one last note in as I continue to experience more and more Speedball Mike Bailey. I did like towards the end, I think he tried to do his shooting star plus knee drop, and he missed again and screwed his knee up again. And he sold it great, which did lead into the crane kick spot.
Kick. Yep.
Slash, I guess, or chicken kick, I guess, as Briscoe's. But yeah, no, I honestly, like, it was one of those small things I really appreciate out of wrestlers. So he continues to make me a very big fan. Like, I was going to be a big fan because I knew you liked him. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to like this guy, but I'm really, really enjoying his work in AEW.
Just going to keep getting better. That's the thing. He's worked with so many of these guys in the past.
Yeah.
Ricochet, Mortos in TNA, Kevin Knight in TNA. So he knows a lot of these guys, and it's going to just lead to them having great chemistry in their matchups.
Yeah, not to mention all like his PWG shit. So I think he faced Kenny before. I think it was a PWG a long time ago. So yeah, he's got a lot of friends back there, and then they're going to have a lot of good chemistry. So he's going to have a lot of great matches, and he's just that good. Also, I hope he gets some nice shoes. Moving on, we had a quick promo package for FTR turning on Adam Copeland on Sunday, and I only really bring this up just because they kind of allowed Shiavone to cut a promo on Dax. Yes, the crane kick is the Karate Kid kick. But as I was saying, they let Shiavone pretty much cut a promo on Dax at commentary, and Shiavone, he got a single shot, and he went on to say, I think he was saying that like a lot of people would be upset with what he did, including a lot of past legends that they look up to. But the one thing that really came across to me was he said that Dax's young daughter would probably be upset by what FTR did. So they're definitely setting something up for that. Very intriguing that they are. But bringing Dax's daughter into it, I think, is a big deal because Dax, you know, he mentions his daughter a lot as something he fights for, you know, so he can get money to provide for her. So I think that's going to become a major plot line real quick here in the future.
You knew last week I was saying how uninterested I was in this story, how whatever, like, oh yeah, I'm worried about them splitting up. I stand by that. That was a very false thing to happen. Like, I knew it was never in any danger, but I will say, being there at that show, that was a hell of a heel turn.
Sometimes it's not the what's going to happen, it's the how it happens, you know?
How it happened was brutal. 2 concertos.
So I don't know if you could see live, but when Dax is going to do it, Cash takes the chair from him and he says, "Allow me."
Son of a bitch.
So I don't know if you watched any of it back. I already watched pay-per-view twice.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's how good it was.
I
I also had some company on Sunday, so I was like, I'm watching this back. They left, and I started it again, and then went to bed, and then I watched it all the rest of it yesterday.
Good man. We were definitely part of the crowd chanting, "You deserve it," to Cope.
That sounds like a Danny thing to do.
No, I think that was more of a James thing in this instance. I saw red and I found myself screaming. This was for Finn Balor.
All right, fair enough. I'll back you up on that one. Finn deserved better. The Demon deserved better.
That he did. So, yeah, I'm very intrigued with the. See, this is my concern though with them turning heel. I don't know where they can go because right now we have heel tag team champions. We have the Hurt Syndicate as the tag champs.
You're right, but they did technically just face 2 heels.
What?
Like the Hurt Syndicate's kind of just down the middle, and they're cool.
And I understand that, and I get that.
But if they're gonna face them, they got to win the titles, right?
Exactly. And they are not. I don't think they're going to be who takes the titles off of them. I don't think so. So it's like this is a great story that they're telling. I think the inevitable outcome is we're going to see Cope and Christian versus FTR at All In. And I think we're actually really on the road to that. Like, All In is in 3 months. Give Cope a month off to sell the injury. Give that time for Christian to split up from the patriarchy. Another month for Cope and Christian to get back together. And then another month to build the match. So
that makes a lot of sense. And I was also thinking too, the next pay-per-view is Double or Nothing. Like, I know All In is WrestleMania now, but Double or Nothing is one of their major pay-per-views. So, like, I don't be surprised if some of these really big matches that were like, oh, they're going to do this at All In. Don't be surprised if 1 or 2 of them actually end up happening on Double or Nothing.
I very much agree. I think that's a likelihood. You can't put everything on All In.
Yeah, especially because it's far away. And I think stretching some of these things out might take too long.
Yeah. But I think we're going to get some good matches out of this. I really appreciate what they're doing. And I like that they're not sympathetic heels or like, what's the word?
Cool.
Not even cool, but more like, I stand by the fact their reasoning is dog shit. It doesn't make any sense that they turned heel. Like, at all. I think it's silly, silly reasoning. But that's fine. If you're going to just play into the fact that you are egomaniacal bastards the way they were, like, Cash putting on the neck brace was gold.
Oh, it was so good.
It was amazing. But it also paints a picture that these guys are just assholes. They just suck. So if you're dealing with that type of person, their logic doesn't need to be sound. You could just be an asshole.
Yep. A selfish one at that.
Exactly. So now that we're there, I'm very, very into what comes next.
Yeah. I do want to say, after Cash took the neck brace off, because I know you didn't see any of this now, and he threw it into the ring, he went, here, he needs this more than me. Like, Cash which was weird, because in the beginning, Cash was like, what the hell did you do? And then even after they hit the Shatter Machine, he was just like, oh my God, like, I can't believe we did this. And then all of a sudden, he is just healing it up like it's nobody's business. So he went from 0 to 100 real quick. I want to jump in the comments. Asking what business is it of Toni's Shiavone's? And I think it was just, Toni kind of speaking for everybody. Like, Toni has some weight and gravitas around AEW, in kayfabe, especially on commentary. So I think that's all it really was. But bringing up Dax's daughter is a personal shot, as opposed to, hey, like, the legends I know wouldn't have liked what you did. So that's what I thought was, like, really interesting about it, as I mentioned. And also, James, saying that the Hurt Syndicate are face, only a heel would call them heel. So
Look,
you are a heel again.
I love the Hurt Syndicate more than I think anybody on this pod, and more than almost
right here.
I know, but I have been a Bobby guy for the longest time.
That's true. You're a Bobby guy. We're both day one Hurt Syndicate guys.
Yes, yes. So I am into them, and I'm cheering them no matter what. We hurt people. I'm here for that. I am here for that. So yeah, no, but they're bad guys. They're bad guys, but we love them.
They're businessmen, and sometimes businessmen are ruthless. And sometimes on the right side of things, and sometimes on the wrong side of things. And I know what you're going to say, and I don't want to do it right now.
Fine.
We're also saying Copeland needs to stay out of action until at least Double or Nothing, so she agrees with you, James. And I agree, too. Like, I think we saw a lot of him in the last couple of months, feuding with the Death Riders and Moxley, and then ending it on Sunday. So, small breather for both him to rest up. You know, he's not a spring chicken. And for us to, allow it to breathe a little bit. And I think it'll help out a lot for both us and him. Yeah. Speaking of the Hurt Syndicate, we then went to the ring for their championship champagne celebration. That's very difficult to say. After saying basically, line them up and beat them down, MVP offers a toast with Shelton, Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley to celebrate another successful championship defense. But as they are about to toast, they are interrupted by MJF's music as it hits, and he comes down to the ring and just looking like an absolute, to borrow a phrase from you, James, goober. MJF kind of just slides in next to them like he's part of the crew already, and then just pisses Bobby off. And then MJF, who already has a mic, just starts talking as if he's celebrating with the guys. He says that him joining the Syndicate couldn't have come at a better time, as Tony Khan wanted him to join the Owen Hart tournament. But now that he's with them, he can skip the line and continue to work smarter, not harder, just like he did on Sunday, where he scratched the backs of the Hurt Syndicate. So now they can scratch his and help him regain his title. This obviously just continues to infuriate Bobby even more. And he says that everyone saw what MJF did last week. And even though he didn't see it at the time, MJF didn't finish the job because Big Bill was still standing and Bobby had to cut him in half with a spear. The two men then start arguing and talking over each other. So Shelton and MVP separate them. And MVP tells Max that in order for him to join, he needs all three thumbs up from the members of the Hurt Syndicate. MVP says that everyone knows where he stands and gives Max a thumbs up. But Shelton, after selling it a little bit, gives the thumbs down. And Bobby's like, thank you. And the three members leave the ring with MJF noticeably upset, even, I think, shoving the camera out of his face a little bit. So I like this, James, because, and I guess we can also do the backstage interview they had a little bit later in a second, but I do like the idea that, all right, he has MVP's approval. Next is clearly Shelton, and he's going to work on Shelton for the next couple of weeks. And that's the story we're going to get here. And then eventually he'll try to work on Bobby. But I like where we're setting up with this. And Shelton got to be funny for a second, so I'm happy with it.
I like seeing them as a dominant force. And I like this MJF. I like this MJF desire, Yeah. He wants to go about things the easy way. He doesn't want to enter the Owen. Because if he wins the Owen, he knows he'll be the Owen Hart of this group. And we've been there already. I don't know if it was intentional, but that was meta as fuck. I like that he recognizes what this group can do for him. He recognizes that aligning himself with this power group will get him back to the Triple B. And it's just business. But it's not really just business anymore. Because the reality is he's upset that they keep saying no to him. So it's becoming personal for him. He says it in the backstage promo later too. He's getting frustrated at the disrespect. So I like that. I really, really like that. And it's like you said so very well earlier. Sometimes it's not about the what, but it's the how. And I think we know that we're probably going to get to a point where they all vote yes on him. But how are we going to get there? And I think that's what's so compelling. I think that's what's so interesting and what they can have a lot of fun with.
And then how do we get the inevitable breakup? Because I think
no breakup. I am sick of this. I want him to unironically just be a part of this group. I think there is so much to that. We have seen it time and time and time again. It didn't work with the Inner Circle. It didn't work with the Pinnacle. It didn't work with Adam Cole, baby. It didn't work with Wardlow. It didn't work with anybody. But the idea that it could work here in this business arrangement is perfect. It's perfect. I don't want to see it happen again. Let my man be happy.
He's not going to be happy.
He should be happy.
Nah, watch like they finally let him in, and then it ends up where Bobby and Shelton lose the tag titles and he wins the world title, and then they're like, well, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain, and they just kick his ass.
I would love it if they'd make him go through like weeks and weeks of like hazing and weeks of like proving himself. And then the moment he makes it in, either that night or the next week, Cedric just shows up and they're like, what's up? You're part of the team again. And he's like, what? I didn't do all of this. And he just walks in here.
There's definitely going to be segments of them in the gym. And
yeah.
You know, he's like barely trying and just doing like light lifting or, you know, like show muscles. And Bobby's over there like ripping 600 pounds.
If they really want to do something that will just tickle everyone's funny bone, MJF takes them to go spray tanning. Like, oh, please, God.
Max, we don't really need this.
Just please. It would be great. And he just genuinely doesn't understand. Oh,
God. The trials of MJF. I like it. Just I guess real quick, we'll cover that backstage interview with the Hurt Syndicate. James, can you remind me the name of this interviewer, please?
Alicia Atout.
It is Alicia Atout. Thank you.
And that's MJF's girlfriend.
Yes, which explains
why he got away with a lot there.
So anyway, Alicia's backstage with the Syndicate, and she asks him about MJF, and Bobby questions why they're even talking about him, since they very clearly do not need him. Shelton agrees that they don't need him, but he does find George Costanza a little funny, and Shelton joking about this annoys Bobby, so Bobby leaves, and Shelton goes and gets him. MVP then tries to discuss the future of the Hurt Syndicate, but there's a knock at the door, and MJF comes in, and he tells Alicia that this is an A and B conversation, and she can see her way out of it. Like, what is he, Toots or whatever? And then
I think he calls her Skank, which is
Skank. Yep, that's true.
I mean, granted, this is also Tits McGee.
Yes, it is Tits McGee. See, that's the thing. I knew it was her. I just can't remember her real name, and I feel really bad. But my bad. Anyway, so he slaps her on the ass and goes, "I'm sorry you had to see that." But he then asks MVP if MVP thinks he looks like a female dog, and MVP's like, "No." And then Max is like, "Well, then why am I being treated like a little bitch? Do the other guys in the Syndicate not know who he is?" And MVP says that they do, but it's that Max's reputation precedes him, which is why they do not trust him. MVP says
that's fair.
It's very fair. MVP says this is about business, and what MJF needs to do is find what his customers want and then supply it like a good businessman. And then MVP leaves MJF back there. So that is obviously now the setup to MJF, trying to figure out what would Shelton and Bobby want out of him for being in the Hurt Syndicate. Because very clearly, it's not just him helping them defend the titles, because they were going to do that anyway, even without his help. It's going to have to be something different, and it's going to be a lot of fun trying to see MJF figure out what that is, maybe even spray tanning.
I think there's just so much potential for this to be fun. And what's up?
It said MJF can sell them as their spray tan is on a little too thick and he can help with the proper amount. It might be a little bit over the line. It's okay, I think, for this podcast, but maybe not for the TV show. And even then,
I think my initial idea was fine. Like just straddling the line there a little bit.
Yeah. The flag definitely went a little over that side in that tug of war.
But I'm all, like I said, I'm all for all of this. I don't want this to be a flash in the pan thing. I think there's real potential here. If it does need to lead to a breakup, I think it should be at the cost of Bobby and MJF both wanting to go for the world title at one point or another. But I wouldn't want that for a long time. I would want this group to go for the long run.
And I do think the potential is there. I just don't know if that's what they're looking to do with it. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. After this, we went backstage real quick for after the championship celebration. Excuse me. We went backstage with Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford, and Renee asked how Bayne is doing after her loss at Dynasty, and Penelope says nothing has changed just because Toni Storm was able to escape. The women's division still won't move until Bayne says it does, and in fact, Bayne is going to be on Collision to face off against anybody. And at this point, Bayne cuts Penelope off, steps in front of her, and says, "I will make you all bow down." And then we head into commercial. So we'll see if we end up with that rematch. But after this, we came back from commercial with Timeless Toni Storm being on commentary for a Owen Hart Foundation tournament quarterfinal match between Kris Statlander and Thunder Rosa. And Toni seemed to want no part of a rematch with Bayne, and I can't say I blame her. Anyway, this match was really good, even though I was, as usual, consistently distracted by Toni Storm making quips in the corner. But this match ended with after Statlander kicked out from both the Destroyer and then a running knee strike. Thunder just screamed in her face, "This is nothing personal," and decked Statlander with a right hand before hitting the ropes. However, Statlander was able to recover and catch Rosa, getting her up for and hitting Wednesday Night Fever to pick up the win and advance in the tourney. So, James, this was good. Yes. I would, if you had asked me last week, which you probably did, on paper, which of the first round matchups I thought was the most intriguing or would have been the best, I think I would have said this one. I think the one on Sunday actually probably ended up being the best so far between the two. But the one between Mercedes and Julia Hart, shout out you guys, the crowd, making that really good.
I think we took a good match and made it very, very good.
Yeah. But this one was still really good. It got some good time, but it was good for a Dynamite match, compared to the pay-per-view match on Sunday. So I feel a little bad that they had to follow that up, but still, I mean, these two women are incredibly talented, and it was a good match.
I mean, I'd argue this was probably a technically better match than the other match. I just think that match had a lot more excitement to it because of the crowd.
Yeah.
I think we can make a really strong argument that Statlander has been one of, if not the most consistent athletes for AEW for the last several years.
Except for the one time she got really hurt, yes.
Yeah, like she's absolutely just always delivering. I can't recall her ever having a bad match.
No, absolutely not. Doesn't exist.
So I got to give her all the credit, and I'd say that continued here. This was a fun match, a good match. My heart goes out to Thunder. Like, I think if Stat isn't going all the way, I would have liked to see Thunder pick up a big win because I think she really needs it. But I know a lot of us are advocating for Stat to go all the way and win this tournament. So we'll see. But I really much enjoyed this. A very fun matchup, a very athletic matchup between both women. I think both women looked really good here. Toni on commentary was great, talking about them. If Thunder and Stat were a tag team, they'd be Thunder Thighs. Yep. And if she and Toni were a team together, they would just be Tits.
Tits, yep.
Amazing. So fun match, fun commentary, fun time. And I liked at the end Stat showing the respect to Thunder.
Yeah.
And Toni giving the round of applause. Really good stuff.
Yeah, I like this match a lot. I like the segment a lot. And like I said, Toni on commentary is one of the best. When she got to the desk, she crawled over the desk instead of just going to the right side of the desk. She just went to the left side and crawled over the desk, and then threw a pair of keys at Taz and said, "Here, I borrowed your car on Sunday. I was bringing it back," or something to that effect. Like, she said it so quick, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
It was great.
So literally, it's just that is Toni goes out there and pops the desk for 10 minutes segment.
Well, she made a reference to it on in the media scrum, Taz's car.
Oh, that's the one thing I didn't watch. I didn't watch the.
She made a reference to the car, saying that there was a car parked in a block. There was a car blocking someone in. The license plate. It's an orange and black car with a license plate that read FTW. So I think this was just a nice little reference to that.
That's what it was. Okay. Maria says that Mercedes is going to win the Owen, and Mercedes versus Timeless at All In. It is the money match for the division.
I'm very conflicted because I agree that is a huge money match. But I think to spread the love a little bit, there is an equally as exciting money match on the table with Mercedes and Athena.
People really want that too. And I know we're going to get it, or we're most likely going to get it.
I don't think we're getting it in this tournament. I have a weird feeling we're not getting it in this tournament.
You think Harley's going to upset Athena on Saturday?
I don't know. I don't know. But even if she did, so if Harley beats Athena, who does Harley face in the second round? It's not Mercedes. I thought Mercedes was on the other side of the bracket.
No, that side of the bracket is Jamie and Billy, and then
okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I have a weird feeling that something is gonna happen.
So Maria says maybe we get Double or Nothing Mercedes versus Athena, and then you do, I guess, Mercedes and Toni at All In, which also could work, because if you want to get the title, the TBS title, off of Mercedes, you do Mercedes Athena at Double or Nothing, especially if something like wacky happens where, either Athena beats Mercedes and then that she's like, I want a shot at the title now because I beat you, or whatever it is. I'm sure if they do that match in the semis, then you can write something to make it go to Double or Nothing, and then if you have Athena win, that does free up Mercedes a little bit more to go after Toni at All In. So there's ways to do it.
There's a lot of room here. Yeah, there's a lot of room here.
We'll see what they end up doing. Maria wants no part of Harley beating Athena. I agree. It would be hilarious.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Harley mark, so I would like it a lot. But but you know what is right. The real money match is the CEO versus the puppet. That's exactly where it is.
I would film the shit out of that. I got so many ideas.
Eric's saying the biggest match is undefeated Mercedes versus Toni, though. So I guess she would have to run through Athena twice.
I think undefeated Athena is more undefeated than Mercedes.
This is true. So that's what's going to make things weird. Like,
yep. Her losing her undefeated streak going away in a tournament match feels icky.
Yeah, it's got to be for the title, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Because I could also see, like, I'm trying to think. There's like so much room to play here, but it really depends on what you want to do. And I'm sure Toni has a plan, but like for me, he's got my brain in a pretzel trying to figure out what he wants to do with these two women. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just don't know. All right, let's keep moving, because this is another thing we could probably debate for the rest of the night.
There's no wrong answer. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and because there isn't one, we're basically just going to talk in circles until we figure it out. Anyway, after this, we went backstage with the carny piece of shit Don Callis and his family, and he's there.
Hold on, just do want to address this one real quick.
Okay.
Maria saying Mercedes is the belt collector. Athena just has one. I agree with you. But the prestige of Athena's one probably outweighs what Mercedes has with all of her belts.
Also, I know I see double, but is Athena carrying like a special belt? Is she just have the one title and she's carrying a special belt?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so she does have technically have 2 belts because Mercedes has 3 titles and 4 belts.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of wiggle room here.
Yeah. Anyway,
didn't they do a multi-man in the finals of an Owen one time?
Well, like a double pinfall and we had a triple. I don't recall that, but
yeah, I believe it's possible. I don't remember.
Yeah, I try to get back to this and see if you're right. I just don't remember it. Anyway, as I was saying, things are seeming to line up nicely for the Callis family in the Owen on the men's side of things, as it looks like we can legitimately have an all-family finals with Takeshita and Fletcher. Fletcher already beat Briscoe, who Callis insulted, but I'm not going to do Mark that disservice. And even though Brody King defeated Lance Archer, Don guarantees that won't happen again, as they've gotten some new intel on Brody. That corny piece of shit then goes into the rash of injuries that the family has suffered in recent weeks. And he says that the family is now taking applications, so they should people should send over their resumes and their bank account information, and they will get back to you.
I cannot believe how much turnaround this group has.
I know, so many people. So
turnover.
Did Archer and Cage both get hurt?
I don't know about Archer, but Cage is hurt, and Mark Davis is hurt.
Right, Davis got hurt the other week in that match. That's right.
Yep. So Davis, Cage, I don't think Archer got hurt, but maybe. So we're looking 2 to 3 members hurt. Yeah. And I don't know. I think you need more people in that group because neither Fletcher or Takeshita should be eating pins, and people from that group, there needs to be someone in that group taking pins. Yeah, I don't know who you could put in that group. For the life of me, I don't know who you could put in that group.
Yeah.
Looking up the roster.
Well, I was just thinking though, in terms of turnover, like, you know, recently you had Hobbs and he got hurt. Now he's back and he's a face. Trent get hurt, and we haven't seen Trent at all since that injury. Now you have Cage going down. So, you know what's funny? Gates of Agony would have been good for them, but they're face right now in Ring of Honor. So
yeah,
that'd be a bit of a switch.
All right, I'm going to throw out a weird one, but I think it would be a good one, and it would give a guy who we know is good something to do, and he doesn't need to win. He could be the fall guy. The Butcher.
Ooh, yeah, Butcher.
I think Butcher would be really good.
You know, it's saying Bowings, but like he just got back. He's super face right now. I don't think
I wouldn't turn him heel for this. I wouldn't turn him heel.
Well, because Maria also said Caster, but he's a loser. I think it would be funny if he tried to join and he's like, "No, look, I'm the best wrestler alive," and Don's just like, "No, fuck you, you suck." Like, it would be a funny segment, or even like a funny little plot for him.
Yeah, I am more inclined with Caster because it does feed into somebody needs to be taking pins, and Caster's whole thing is he is taking a lot of pins right now, so it works in that regard. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, you think, and I will continue to move things along.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Is after this, we went to another backstage promo, this time with the Undisputed Kingdom, including the new TNT champion, Adam Cole. Thank you. Kyle starts off by saying the Undisputed Kingdom has been chasing the big moment in AEW for a while, and they finally got one on Sunday, and now they're going to continue to go on and get more, with Roddy saying it's about time they get theirs. Cole then says that their time will come, and as for him, he was grateful to get his after everything he's been through over the past 2 years, when he became the face of TNT and proved to everybody that the Undisputed Kingdom are the paragons of AEW, which There was something Excalibur picked up on, which is why I wrote it down. So I don't know if that's something they're going to shift towards, but interesting choice of words.
I mean, I understand them maybe not using the kingdom because that takes something away from Taven and Bennett. And Taven and Bennett might own it.
Maybe.
But the Paragons, I don't like it.
I'm having too much Crisis of Infinite Earth.
Thank you. I didn't want to say it. I appreciate that you said it, but I didn't want to say it. So yeah, no. What do they stand for? Nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I wanted to briefly answer its question really quick. Since the Scissors broke up, has Max and Bowens come face to face? And yes, they did on the pre-show on Sunday. Caster had his open challenge, and it was answered by Bowens. And Bowens just knocked him out with a massive right hand, and it was like a minute.
Fun fact: despite getting to the area 40 minutes early, there was no GD parking anywhere. That we didn't. We got there at 7:20. We didn't get into the building until like 8:15.
Ooh! So did you miss the first match, or
we caught the very tail end of Knight and Ospreay? I'd say we caught the last like 4 to 5 minutes.
It was a really good opener.
It was, and I went back and I watched it, and it was great. But
yeah,
damn it, Philly.
God, I hate Philly.
I do too. Not for your reasons, but yeah.
No, I'm not. I mean, I've only ever been to the city once, but I'm not a huge fan. But yeah, the sports teams they either somewhere between hate and or I'm apathetic. Outside my man Allen Iverson. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we came. At least you saw some of it. That's a good point. Looking on the bright side.
Oh yeah.
Chris Jericho came down to the ring with the whole learning tree get up, and after recounting how he lost his Ring of Honor World Championship to Bandito, who he said only did it through the help of his intrusive siblings and his stooge mother, Jericho invites out his family in Big Bill and the Bad Apple Brian Keith. Jericho begins to say that he wishes they all had championships out there tonight, but Bill and Keith didn't get the job done. And as he says this, Bill lowers Jericho's microphone and grabs one of his own. Bill then says that Jericho is going to say he's angry, and Jericho has every right to be angry, but Bill is angry too, and has been for a while. And then Keith tries to stop him, and Bill's like, no, he needs to hear this. You know this. Bill then says that Jericho is one of the greatest of all time, and that's why he signed up to learn under the learning tree, but he didn't sign up to be a punching bag. So if Jericho can teach them something, teach. But if they're just there for Jericho to publicly berate them and blame them, then let him know so he can leave, and that Brian Keith feels the same way. And Jericho is like, is that true? And Keith's kind of like, yeah. So Jericho says if that's how they feel, then they have a lot more to learn because he doesn't need to teach anyone in AEW, but he teaches them because he sees that they are future world champions. Their wins are his wins, and their losses are his losses. That is why he didn't blame Bill for not coming out to help him during his match on Sunday, even though some people might say it's the reason he lost to Bandito. But Jericho is not saying that because he's not actually mad at them. He's just disappointed. And he starts repeating that he is disappointed. And as he does so, he gets more and more frustrated and louder and eventually starts slamming the TV with his baseball bat, going on to destroy that and eventually destroy the entire set while continuing to get louder and louder and louder. And he cursed at some point. I don't know if he dropped a goddammit or something else. Or did he drop a full-on F-bomb?
I think it was. I think he said, I'm fucking disappointed.
Anyway, he eventually stops and he says, I'm disappointed in you. And he points the bat to both Bill and Keith. And he takes a long pause before he says, until he is no longer disappointed, he is not going to be around. And then he ends up leaving, although he quickly got back into his like happy character to sign somebody's sign, which I thought was great, and then got really frustrated in his tantrum again and stormed out. And then after we had the Hurt Syndicate interview and then the commercial break, and we came back, and he was leaving the venue, continuing to destroy shit with the bat before eventually getting in his car and being driven away.
Yep.
So this was interesting to me, James, for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to get Keith and Bill on their own for a little bit, which I think is good. But two, I'm curious to see how long Jericho, quote unquote, stays away, because, I've been advocating for this for a long time, and I know you've agreed with me that Jericho needs to just go away for a while so we can miss him. And yes, if he wants to go on tour with Fozzy, I am totally okay with that. Because this is, I think, a good thing for him. We need a break from Jericho. It's been kind of nonstop, even though there was some times where we only got him for a New York minute. But this is going to be a good break for him, I think. And when he comes back, people will hopefully be happy to see him again.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I want Jericho.
I want you to want me. Sorry.
No, one great song. Two, I agree. I miss enjoying Jericho in whatever form that may be. I miss liking him, but I'm just so burnt out. I will say, I thought that this was a very interesting development, and I thought this was one of the more interesting segments from Jericho that I've seen in a long time. This was the first time in a while that I was like, I'm invested in this. I'm intrigued enough about this to see what comes next with him. Whether that means he is gone for a little bit, whether it's Fozzy or just vacation time, or he comes back next week. Although I hope it's the former and not the latter.
Same.
I think there's a lot of potential for Keith and for Bill. And I think, personally, I don't think Keith actually really wants to split up from Jericho. I think he feels a little pressured into it by Bill. So I think when Jericho comes back, I think we're going to see Jericho and Bill split, because Bill is the one that the crowd is super into. The crowd was into Bill on Sunday.
He got even chance tonight just for lowering Jericho's microphone.
Yeah. So I think I could see Bill going off on his own as a babyface, and I could see Keith sticking around with Jericho.
Yeah.
And if I were to fantasy book that, I would have Bill start picking up some wins on his own and Keith losing. And Keith realizing he needs to stick with Jericho.
You could do that. I could also, if they are going to be tagging a lot, do it where, Bill always is the one winning, and if they do lose, it's always Keith is the one eating pins. Yeah. So whether they're doing singles or tags, I think that's a good way to do it if Keith is going to stay with Jericho. Because you're right, I think he does work well with Jericho, even if Bill's not there. But I do think, and sorry to cut you off on the comment, but I do think that the longer, not too long, but the longer Jericho stays away, the better it will be, I think, for these two guys. I don't want to say get their feet wet, because they're not rookies. They know what they're doing, but just to be able to be off on their own away from Jericho, from what they've been doing with him for the last, 6 months or whatever, will be very good for them. Plus, people just want to cheer Bill.
I agree. I very much agree. Maria saying that she wants to see Brian turn on Bill and feud with each other. I think we're going to get there. I think Maria and I are on the same page there. Maria also saying that Keith needs to go back to the bounty hunter days. He looks like Enzo to me out there standing next to Bill. I get it. It's hard. When you have a guy like Bill, it's hard to stand out next to him.
He makes everyone look he made Bobby Lashley look short, and Bobby's he's a massive dude.
He
Bill,
really is.
I mean, he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that.
It's saying that Bill needs a chant for the crowd to say.
Oh, that's why I did the thing there.
Yeah, that was good timing. Bring back soft.
Yeah, unless copyrighted, especially if you're going to turn face, absolutely.
I have a really big fear. Honestly, I have a big fear that it's going to turn into Jericho and Keith, and Bill needs a tag team partner.
Oh, and they bring Enzo back?
Oh.
Or bring Enzo in?
I'm so scared. So scared.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. All right.
But yeah, I enjoyed this, and yeah, good on Bill for just getting so naturally over.
Yeah, people want to like Bill. Like people
Yeah.
wanted to like him for a while, and you know he had his problems, and thankfully Maria definitely does not want Enzo back. You know he was thankfully able to overcome his demons, and now people want to cheer for him again. Especially, I think that's part of it too. So hopefully he's able to use this time to build up his face creds, for lack of a better phrase, and really become a star. I think that he could be. Before we hit the main event, I wanted to bring this up. Should we be used to no parking as New Yorkers?
I have never had as hard a time parking in New York as I did in Philly.
The only time I ever had a massively difficult time parking was when I lived in Manhattan, and I should never have a car there in the first place. So.
And I'm talking Manhattan, by the way.
Yeah.
I have never had as hard a time parking in Manhattan as I did in Philly.
So was it in the Temple campus or on the Temple campus? Because
Yeah,
I know it's arena.
The Leocoris Center. I've been there several times. In fact, that's where I went to my very first Dynamite. Darby Allin challenging Chris Jericho for the AEW World Title.
Throwback.
Yep, it was Kenny and Hangman versus Mox and Pac, actually.
Huh. I think I was just watching that episode.
So I'm used to that place. Usually there's street parking, but every parking garage I went to was full. And I went to like 4 or 5. And the street parking was bad. I parked in a spot that may or may not have been a spot, and I'm very grateful I did not get a ticket.
Fair enough. You know it also saying, funny how the AEW truck can't get the money shots, but they can beep the F-bombs all the time. You know, I'm going to let you on a little secret. The directing is live, but there is a 7-second delay. So if there's an F-bomb, they can bleep it. And that's why they can do it. Because I used to have one on my radio show.
Movie magic, baby.
Live TV. All right, let's go to the main event because, as I said, following the Jericho segment was the Hurt Syndicate backstage promo or interview. So let's hit up the Death Riders. This being Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta facing off against Ops members Samoa Joe and Hook. I'll jump to the end of this match where as Claudio and Joe took each other out on the outside, Hook began to lock in the Red Room onto Yuta. But Moxley came down and he created a distraction, just allowing Yuta to rake the eyes of Hook to break up the hold as the ref was dealing with him. Moxley then grabbed a chair, but Shibata, who obviously Moxley faced earlier, came down the ramp and got Moxley in a rear naked choke and brought him down. Hook was then able to get the Red Rum back in on Yuta in the ring, and when Claudio tried to get back into the ring to break it up, Joe got in the Coquina clutch on the outside, giving Hook the time he needed to force Yuta to tap out. After the match, as Joe and Hook were celebrating, and Shibata was celebrating by continuing to lock in the sleeper hold on Moxley, Marina snuck in with a chair and took out Joe's knee from behind. Yuta and Claudio then jumped back in the ring and jumped Hook, and before forcing Joe out of the ring with his bad knee and taking Shibata out with a chair. As Shibata realized what was going on, he let Moxley go and tried to get in there to help. Yuta then took the chair and stood it leg side up, and Claudio took Hook and hit a neutralizer into the chair legs. Just, ow. And then Joe eventually forced the Death Riders to flee into the crowd with a chair of his own. Joe then grabbed the mic and called the Death Riders cowardly sons of bitches, saying the Ops stood up to get in a fist fight, but instead the Death Riders are acting like a bunch of dick riders. So Joe made it real simple. The Ops versus the Death Riders, and they're coming for the Trios Championships. So I liked this, James. It wasn't like the best main event, but it was good. There wasn't a hot tag, which was surprising. I think that was the most surprising part because we were getting in the hot tag with Joe after Hook took all the heat, and then Wheeler took Joe out, and then Claudio and Joe just ended up taking each other out on the outside. So I have to imagine some of the plans here changed a little bit considering Pac's injury, especially with the interference. But the match itself was still very good. The Ops getting the win was great. I love that. Shibata, best moment of the night where he was just, instead of celebrating, continuing to choke out Moxley on the ramp.
Wouldn't you choke that motherfucker out too if you had the chance?
Yeah, especially, Shibata lost to him earlier in the night. He might as well get his revenge while he could.
Yeah.
So that was really funny. And that chair spot, that neutralizer onto the chair looked so brutal. So This was a really good closing segment. And all I'm hyped about is the Ops versus the Death Riders for the Trios titles.
Yeah.
But we'll see what ends up happening with that.
I think you brought up Pac. I don't think Mox was going to come out. I think it would have been Pac instead.
Yeah, Mox looked like he was ready to go home with that shirt on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Mox was the substitute, and it worked. It worked, especially because of the match they had earlier in the night. Arguably, maybe Swerve would have come out, and it would have been 4-on-4, maybe.
Yeah,
because they made the save for him on Sunday. I could realistically see that he would have come out to make the save here. But I thought this was just another fun match, just another fun match, nothing spectacular, but another fun match. I loved seeing Hook copy Joe's "I'm just gonna walk away from the flying guy."
Hook did a nope spot.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Joe, but he'll get there.
He's
learning.
So Joe was talking about that on CVV this week, and Joe was just like, "Yeah, I used to just do it to screw with AJ and Christopher Daniels," and then they were like, "All right, well now you got to do it to this guy because it'll be funny." And he just started doing it to people, and the crowd just started eating it up. And now he does it like every week.
I mean, it's such a good spot. Like,
it's hilarious.
It's so fun. So yeah, I thought this was a fun main event. I want to see the Ops actually be the guys to take the Trios titles off. There have been other teams that have been like, that'd be cool. Like, I would have been cool with the Undisputed Kingdom doing it.
Yeah.
I would have been cool with who went after it most recently.
Well, besides Rated FTR.
Besides Rated FTR. 2.0, I think, went at it once.
Oh, with Danny Garcia? Yeah.
Yeah. FTR, once upon a time, that would have made sense, but we knew going into this that we were getting the heel turn.
I'm trying to remember who went after it at Revolution. This is what the internet's for.
Right?
AEW Revolution 20.
But point being, this is the team that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody on Reddit, got to give Reddit credit here.
Yeah, they're right.
Yeah. We should probably put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, because they need that and their confidence. Yeah,
right. That if we're in a situation that Pac is hurt, you have a good story here where Mox could be the fill-in and Joe gets the win over Mox, setting up a one-on-one match between Mox and Joe as a filler feud until we get to the bigger pay-per-views.
Yeah, I thought that was possible because, that was my thing. If Pac is going to be out for a while, so I was distracted. I was looking up the Death Riders' last defense. It was not at Revolution, or at least the last pay-per-view one was at Revolution.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of TV ones, a lot of collisions. Yeah,
that's also true. Yeah, because I think you're right. I think they did do the one against the Undisputed Kingdom. I think that's mostly what they've been doing. But. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Moxley is the clear and obvious choice to fill in here because I know they've stripped people of the Trios titles before when people have gotten hurt. I know the Jay White stuff. It was really dumb. Excuse me, the Juice Robinson stuff and and they tried to replace him with Jay White and they wouldn't let it happen. But like, does Tony Khan really hate freebirding titles that much that he
apparently?
But Max MJF can step in or have Smo Joe step in for Adam Cole when he gets hurt, right? Like,
I think it's the importance of the storyline.
Yeah,
like you needed the tag titles in that situation. You needed the tag titles to keep that going because it went to the Kingdom eventually.
Yeah, and no, I agree. Like, I understand. Like, sometimes it's just whatever the storyline dictates. I expect a touch more consistency from AEW, but I mean, it's wrestling. There is no consistency. We had a mom and her sister overturn a match result on Sunday. So, like, it is what it is. So I hope they let Moxley defend in Pac's place if need be, because I really think the ops storyline is important enough that they win the they win the trios titles from the Death Riders clean. Because even then, I was gonna say, even if they kind of did it like they did with the Bang Bang Gang, where they're like, okay, you're technically stripped of the titles, but you're still in the match. That still feels like it'd be kind of annoying, but you'd still get the match that way. So either way, the ops better be winning these shits and better be winning them soon.
Yeah.
That's all I really care about.
Those poor titles.
Yep, the clear and obvious choice, Spike Dudley.
You know it? There is a very real strong possibility that in 2026, we will have the Hardys, Cope and Christian, and the Dudleys all as active tag teams.
God help us all. I think Spike's a real estate agent somewhere.
He is, but you know what? He could show up whenever. If we could get Rico to show up, we could get Spike Dudley.
Rico, blast from the past. I will say Maria also has the ops winning the trio championship, but I do like to point out that the oops is a perfect typo. Yeah, it describes itself. But yeah, James, that was Dynamite. And I thought this was, I don't want to call it a top-heavy show because I thought it was a very consistent show, but the promos tonight, especially because we had that massive one at the beginning, kind of outweighed the wrestling for the first time, I think, in a long time in AEW, because the matches were fun, and I had a really good time watching them, but they weren't bangers, I think, that we're used to, whereas some of these promos were bangers. Yeah. And I thought we did a great job, as you mentioned at the top of the show, not only following up immediately with the hottest thing from the pay-per-view, but following up on a lot of stuff from the pay-per-view while setting up a lot of stuff as we head towards Double or Nothing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that's fine. It's funny because oftentimes there's this divide between WWE fans and AEW fans that it's like, oh, AEW fans don't want to see promos and storytelling. They just want matches. And WWE fans are conditioned for stories and promos and they don't care about good matches. I don't think either are ever that entirely true. I think as long as what I'm watching is compelling, it doesn't really fully matter the form it comes in. I think there just needs to be a balance.
Yeah.
Like, I got great wrestling on Sunday. Amazing wrestling. So I'm okay that on Wednesday, I'm getting a little bit of just storytelling, you know? And we did still get some fun matches tonight.
Yeah, nothing was bad tonight. None of the matches were bad.
Yeah. So I enjoyed tonight's Dynamite. I think it did everything it needed to. I think the opening bit of the show, from everything from Mox Shibata all the way to Swerve Pac, was just such great flow, great storytelling, fun matchups, exciting storytelling, and it has me intrigued for what comes next. And Kenny Omega.
Right after Swerve Pac was the Hangman thing too. So
yeah. So everything just was so naturally good. So
yeah, 100%. Because a lot of times in AEW we get our stories told through the matches. Tonight we changed it up a little bit. None of the matches had massive stakes attached to them except really the Owen. But for the most part, the stories were told through promos, led by the Bucks and Kenny, and the mishmash with Mox and Swerve also being involved in that. And then the Hangman thing a little bit after that. And we got some stories told through matches. Obviously, the opening match and the main event helped build up the Ops versus the Death Riders as that's coming down the pipeline. And we had the Owen continuing. So there was a lot of good stuff tonight, a lot of great stuff. The only thing bad I did want to is obviously Pat getting hurt, and we once again
of course
wish him well. So I really like this episode. I had a lot of fun watching it, and especially how hyped I was considering after the end of Sunday's pay-per-view, coming in thinking like, okay, what's with the Bucks? What's with everybody? I got that quick. I got it when I need, and I got a good, solid starting point and follow up to what we all saw at Dynasty.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, James. So I guess real quick before we get out of here, since we didn't have the show on Sunday, do you have any updates on the Speedball Mike Bailey autograph giveaway, or we're going to try to figure something out?
We're going to try to figure something out because I don't know if you guys saw, but thankfully we really got an influx of new followers following Sunday. So I want to try to figure out a way to incorporate everything and everybody, but we will be following up on it. You just got to give me a little bit of time. I am not going to be with the pod for the next 2 weeks. I will be in Japan. So I am leaving Sunday. So I have not really been able to do much thinking on anything really. So, but I do promise we will get that resolved as soon as possible.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody got an update. Also, dear God, I'm gonna have to run this show by myself for 2 weeks.
I think you could get Danny for Wednesday next week. Yeah. I think you can.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully. And on that note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down Podcast. We appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. If you liked the episode, it lets us know that you're enjoying what we're doing here on the show and we'll continue to do more of it. And if you subscribe, if you haven't already, you can obviously continue to get all the stuff here on the pod. Not just live episodes, but apparently stuff from when we go to shows too. So we will have the Gym Pack Zone for tomorrow, I think possibly one more before we go.
Yes, I will be doing Gym Pack tomorrow, and that'll be my swan song before my much-needed vacation.
Yep. All right. So make sure you tune into the Gym Pack Zone tomorrow for those of you who enjoy TNA. I'm hoping we can get some WWE stuff out before we end up in WrestleMania in a couple of weeks. We will be doing WrestleMania. I know I'm at least doing Sunday. It's Easter Sunday, so hopefully I get home on time. I got to talk to the rest of the guys about Saturday, though. I know I'm out that day. But I'm sure we'll have plenty of WrestleMania coverage that weekend. Also, too, obviously, we will be back here on Wednesday for Dynamite. If you want to check us out on any social media stuff, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or Blue Sky, and you're here on YouTube, you can check all that stuff out in the description below. The links are there. If you're watching over on Facebook or over on Twitter, you want to follow us on some of our other stuff. At Twitter is marketdown_pod. Instagram is at marketdownpod. YouTube.com/marketdown3665. Blue Sky is marketdownpod.bsky.social. And of course, if you just search Marketdown Podcast on anything, we are more than likely going to pop up. All right, James, any last words before we get out of here?
If you're new to us, thank you. I know, again, we saw a lot of growth this week. If you're one of our regulars, like Maria, like you know it, thank you. We honestly have so much fun talking with you guys. So yeah, you make the show better.
Yeah, we appreciate the support, and honestly, we appreciate the interaction. It makes doing the show a lot more fun, and it makes it a lot easier on us, too. So thank you very much. And yes, I promise I will let Danny speak if he shows up. That's a James thing, and that's not a me thing.
You know it. You got to go to our social media. Honestly, go on our Twitter, and just Danny is the one who mostly runs our Twitter. Just start bugging him there, telling him you want him back. I'm giving you full permission. Harass this man on Twitter.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm the only one with the Blue Sky login, so if you want to harass me there, cool. We need the followers.
and if you want Matt here too, go to Instagram, harass Matt, telling him that you want him back on the pod.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So yeah, I guess the final note of the show is go harass us on social media.
honestly, it'll be fun.
All right. So for the apparently. Wow, no, I'm not going to give it to you because that'd be bad. But so for James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down Podcast. Have a good one, everyone.